Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss luminescence. Yes, the fascinating art of luminescence. What is it? Where did it come from? What's the history? Is it on every watch? Is there a price point on the watch in regards to what had luminescence? What are the different types? So we have so many different questions that we want to answer today in regards to, yes, the beautiful luminescence. And as you can see, some shine brighter than others. And we'll answer that question as well as to why that is. So let's go into a little bit of history on luminescence and where it comes from. Back in the early 1900s, in the 1910s, 1920s, the working class woman could actually make a decent living painting luminescence material on the watch dials. And the material that was used was a radioactive combination of radium and zinc sulfide. Okay, and that produced such a bright glow. Employers would tell the women that there was no ill effects, that it wouldn't hurt them and whatnot, but unfortunately, this was not true, and the workers actually began suffering from conditions such as bone fractures, anemia, and necrosis of the jaw, which eventually led to death. So these particular women were known as radium girls. We want to fast forward to, let's say, by the 1960s, the amount of this particular combination of materials was approximately 1/100th the amount used in the early 1900s. And by 1968, this radioactive material was indeed banned. So what happened then was another radioactive material, tritium, was what was used next. And this material, as we know today, in this particular watch in particular, this actually uses tritium-filled tubes. But believe it or not, in the 1960s, right after 68 actually, they actually painted tritium onto dial or onto the hands, and that was used actually for a very long time, for decades, up until the early 1990s, where they started to use pigments based off of photoluminescent materials like strontium aluminate. And basically, there's also another material known as superluminova, which was founded in the early 90s. That's probably a Swiss brand, superluminova. And actually, it's something I didn't know, Seiko and Rolex actually produced their own proprietary variants of superluminova. So that's pretty amazing in and of itself. So let's jump in to, first and foremost, does every watch produce lume? And as you saw by the dark shot here, the answer is an astounding no. Now, this is basic to some, but foreign to others. So as you saw here, this particular Breitling here did not glow. And you're probably wondering, well, you know, this watch here, this is a $3,000-$4,000 watch, brand new. Why does this not glow? Well, the problem here is this watch here was produced in the late 90s. And even the best of luminescence does eventually have a shelf life, and there is no more luminescence on this particular watch. So what would need to happen with this particular watch is it would need to be serviced and luminescence to be repainted on to the hands of the watch and the markers as well. Okay? So that leads me to this watch here, which is the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. we're going to do my famous flashlight over the dome. Put that on there for a couple seconds. We're going to turn the light off and we're going to take a look at this luminescence. I mean, look at that. That is the top of the line Swiss Super Luminova. And this is some of the best stuff that you can get on a watch. Okay? This, on Omegas, your high-end Swiss timepieces typically will have this. But as we learned, as we take a look at the Seiko here, we're going to do, again, our couple seconds here, turn up the light, and check out this. Wow. So Seiko produces their own equivalent to Super Luminova. Did not know that, was wondering why it was very competitive with the Omega, and now I know why. So, we also have another Breitling here. This one was produced 2001 to 2005. This is known as the Headwind. This one here, if we shine a light, take a look at the luminescence here, we see that it does have luminescence. So the question here is, how long does luminescence last? Well, that is a very good question. As we can see here with this Headwind, today is 2018. This is produced back in 2005. This watch was not serviced. So this watch, the luminescence, has lasted at least 13 years at this point. This watch here, looking at the late 90s, so you're looking at over 18 years, probably 20 years. So according to what my experience, and I'm sure I could be wrong here, but I'm thinking the sweet spot here is probably anywhere between the 15 and 20 year mark. And I say this because we go to our next material, which is known as tritium. Okay? So what tritium is, it's glass-filled tubes of actual tritium gas. Okay? So let's get a better shot of this here. And let me wipe off some of these fingerprints for you. So we're going to take a look at this. This is a Luminox. Luminox is known for their tritium tubes. So as you can see here, you've got a tritium tube here at the 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5, 7, 9, 11 clock position, along with tubes on the hour and minute hand. So what that means is that we don't need sunlight to power the tritium gases. These gases are encapsulated in these tubes, and they have a shelf life of 25 years. So that means that if I turn the light off here, we're going to take a look at what the Lume looks like. So right off the bat, as you can see, or should I say barely see, the luminescence is not as vibrant as Super Luminova. But the advantages that we have here is the fact that this will last all night long, every single day, without any type of light charging. You take Super Luminova, and you might have 6-7 hours, and then it needs to be recharged with light once again. So, the other question we get is price point. We have here a much more affordable Swiss Legend. Okay, this watch I purchased for like $88. This watch here, you're looking at a lot more than $88. You're looking, at anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 for this particular model when it was brand new. And then we take the Seiko, and this watch here is a $400 or $500 watch. Okay, So, when you ask the question of luminescence, price of watches, would you expect to have the same luminescence from an $88 watch than you would a $5,000 watch? I think everyone would answer that the same. So let's take a look at the luminescence on a Swiss Legends. Now, as you can see, that's a pretty, it's pretty cool. But it's definitely not as vibrant, not as bright as a Seiko, and not as bright as the Omega. The other thing is, and as you're going to notice, it's going to start to fade a lot quicker. I mean, this luminescence is already fading as we speak. I mean, it's already in real time. We can see that it's fading. So that's a cheaper. That's much cheaper materials. As you can see here, with the Omega, it's still shining bright, and it will for much longer. So price point can definitely make a difference. But when you take a look at price point between a Seiko and an Omega, $400 to $500, $6,000, there's really not a big difference. I mean, you can make an argument that, yeah, of course, the Omega has a bit of more of a crisper. It definitely is a little bit brighter, more like high definition. But the glow itself, it's a little bit, but is it $4,000 to $5,000 better? No, absolutely not. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Now here's the other question that people would ask. Let's take a Movado and let's take a Tissot. Okay? Now Tissot is a very respected Swiss brand watch. Okay? Again, let's take off the fingerprints. And Movado once was a respected Swiss brand, and still is to some, and then to others. But either way, you can't argue that this particular brand is classic, and its design is classic. So, price point between these two watches, brand new. The Tissot definitely maybe $600. $600 to $700. The Movado, I've seen that for $900. Okay, so take the flashlight, and we're gonna do these both at the same time because we're gonna get the same result. And the result is, when we turn the light off, we're going to see absolutely nothing. So, does every watch have luminescence? No. Does price point make a difference? No. These two watches serve a different purpose. These aren't diver watches. But again, do all divers have luminescence? From my knowledge, yes. But do all watches that are non-divers have luminescence? No. But do some do? Yes. These particular ones do not. But then again, you're looking at price point. These are both close to $1,000, and yet no luminescence. But that's not what you're buying these watches for. So I hope in this 15 minutes that I gave you guys a good perspective and history on luminescence and some of the questions that are asked, and hopefully that satisfied some of you guys, questions. And I hope you tune in to my next video. I do watch reviews, but I also do how-to videos as well. So please click a like if you enjoyed the video, click for a thumbs up, and also subscribe for future videos. Thank you very much, and have a good day.